Hey gang, today we're going to do Hold On by John Lennon off of his Plastic Ono Band album, my personal favorite of all the John Lennon solo albums. Now the rest of the album is kind of depressing and angry, but this song is anything but that. It's a hopeful song, it's a clear, clean song, and while not being happy, it's at least hopeful. It's also a great guitar song, and it's pretty easy to learn, so we're going to cover that entirely. I'm going to do a demo in just a second. I'll also cover some of the theory at the end of this, so you'll want to stick around because there's some nice little twists in that you'll want to see. As always, if you like this, please give it the like button, and if you haven't yet, subscribe for one of these every week. Don't forget to leave any comments or suggestions for future videos down below as well. Love to get those. Okay, here comes the demo, and then we'll do the lesson afterward. Okay, gang, let's go over this in some detail. Here's the game plan for this particular lesson. We're first going to talk about the sound of the guitar. The second thing we're going to talk about is the song itself, and that won't take all that long because it's not a super complicated song. After that, we'll talk just a little bit about the theory, because there's one little twist in there that I think is kind of nice to know about the song, and a good thing to kind of put away into your storeroom of tricks. All right, so that's the idea. Let's talk about the sound first. So let me tell you what I've got going. I've got a Les Paul. I'm using a Les Paul style guitar. I'm playing in the in-between position. Yes, the middle one for you Monty Python fans out there. Okay, so that's what I'm playing here, but the guitar itself doesn't matter all that much. I'm using a totally clean sound, and that's the most important thing. The most important thing is to use a totally clean sound. The second most important thing is to kind of get a balance between treble and bass. You don't want it to be too trebly, and you don't want it to be too bassy. So that's why I chose the middle position. On a Strat, you might choose the neck position, might be just fine. On some other guitar, you might choose the middle. Whatever. Your discretion, okay? Pretty much any guitar is going to work on this one. Just make sure it's clean. Now, I also have in there a tremolo effect. Now, when you listen to the album, that's in there, and definitely if you want to sound just like the album, you really need a tremolo effect. However, you don't need a tremolo effect to make it sound great. Another option might be a chorus, some other modulating effect, right? Or a phaser would even sound okay. And you know what? Just plain nothing on it sounds great. The song really speaks for itself, and it's the chords that are beautiful, not the tremolo effect. So if you don't have that, don't sweat it. It'll sound great anyway. All right. Do what you want to do on the sound, but just make sure you keep it clean. All right. Let's talk about the song itself. Now the song, I'm going to break into two different parts. The first is going to be this part. So that's the first part. And the second part will be just the rest of the chords. So it's really that first part that I think makes so much of this song, because Lennon composed it. There's a reason why he chose the key of E, and this is in the key of E. It's really because he could get those ringing chords that just sustain naturally without having to fight so much to get them. And you can use a lot of open notes. So let's go over what this first lick is. That's the whole thing. So how's that work? Well, I'm going to first start by hitting an open E, and then I'm going to play the following. I'm going to bar on the 9th fret as if I'm playing these 3 notes on an E triad on the 4, 3, and 2 strings. That's an E triad, and I'm going to add that top note on the 9th, which kind of gives it a minor 7th sound, okay? And we're going to start out with our pinky on the 12th. So we hit that open note, and then we'll just pull that pinky off, okay? And then we're just going to put that on the 12th on the 2nd string, or on the B string, and then come back up to the top. So the top notes are really right? While that's ringing out. Now you'll also note that I hit the open E twice there. I played. And I'm stroking that chord when I play the 12th on the B again. And that's just to keep that nice sustained flow going on, right? So that's all I'm trying to get is a nice sustained flow without adding compression or any sort of gimmickry to it, okay? So that's the idea. That's the first part. Here's the second part. We're going to again hit that open note. Okay, and what is that? So again, it's open note, and then we're going to slide from the A9 to A11th, and then we'll play a little mini chord here, again on the 4th and 3rd on the 9th fret, and then we'll play the, we'll hammer, not hammer on, but place our, on the 4th string, we're going to play 11th. I guess it is a hammer on. And then a pull off, and then ending on the 11th on the 5th string. Okay, so it's like this. All right, so that's the whole thing, and that's a substantial part of the song. I just think that's so beautiful. It sounds, you know, it's kind of like Hendrixy chords. It's kind of Hendrix chordy, but somehow there's something a little bit different about it. All right, let's go to the rest of the chords. The rest of the chords are this one right here. All right, so this one is an F sharp minor 7. It's in the key of E. It's diatonic to the key of E. That's great. So we're going to play that twice. This is just a little hammer-on move where we're playing on the A string, 2, 4, 2 hammer-on 4, and then 2 on the D string. This is just a G sharp minor 7th. Okay, so that's a G sharp minor 7th, which is also diatonic to the key of E. This is all in the key of E. All these chords are simply in the key of E. Okay? Okay, so this is an A7 and a B7. Now, that's kind of typical. The A7, it's usually an A major instead of an A7, but A7 works fine. It's not that much of a difference. And then a B7 as well. So that's the rest of the song, right? Almost. The part is when it says when you're one, that is a B minor 7th to a C sharp minor 7th. So it just changes the color of the chord from a 7th to a minor 7th, and going up to that C sharp minor 7th as well. And at the end, it's just this. Just kind kind of similar to what we did before. All right, that's the whole song. Okay, let's cover just a tiny amount of theory. What I like about this one, and I've already covered a little bit, is that this whole thing in the beginning is in E, right? You can easily see that the E major pentatonic covers all of it. All right? And if you know your harmonized major scale, in E, you've got an E major, you've got an F sharp minor, a G sharp minor. Minor seventh is basically just a variant on that, right? Your 4 chord, in this case the A, is a major. 5 chord is a major as well. If you're doing triads, it's a dominant 7th if you're doing 7th chords. So it's a B 7th. Then we've got a C sharp minor. We've got a D sharp diminished, which we don't use in this and Lennon doesn't use in the song. And then we've got this E major again. So a lot of these chords are in here, right? The C sharp minor 7th, it's in there, the B 7th's in there, the A 7th's in there, or an A is in there, G sharp minor's in there, F sharp minor's in there. So it just follows standard theory, except at one point, except when he does this part, when you really want, that part. Right, that part right there. Now this chord right here, a C sharp minor 7, is in the key of E, but this one isn't. The B minor 7th is not in the key of E. So where did that come from and why does that work? Well, there's a couple of different ways of thinking about it. One is that Lennon's just mixing up the song a little bit to make it a little more interesting by changing the color of a particular chord. Happens to be the chord that he's on. Going from a major to minor is a very dramatic effect and well known. So maybe he just did that. After all, and going from a 7th to a minor 7th is a very small change. It's a minor change, right? It's quite literally a minor change, but it's also a small change. So maybe that's how it was motivated. I like to think it's slightly different, though, in that maybe it was a little more thought out and deliberate. So it's possible that if you think about the keys that are adjacent to E, if we add 1 sharp, we get the key of B. Well, the key of B obviously is not going to contain a B minor. It's going to contain a B major. The key of B major, or B major scale, is going to have a B major chord on it, right? But if we go 1 sharp less to the key of A, which is the next, the 2 closest keys to E are the key of A and the key of B. If we go to the key of A does have a 2 chord that's going to be a minor 7th, or a minor, and its 3 chord is a C, which is also the same as the key of E. So if we switch this chord, it's kind of like a switch to the key of A. It just gives a slight hint of some change, again, that's there. Now, why does that work? Well, one reason why it works so seamlessly in this, and it sounds so natural, is because of the melody over that. If we look at the melody over that, it goes like this. And you'll notice that all of those notes are in the E major pentatonic scale, and Lennon is singing that, and so it doesn't really matter that you've changed it. And that's just, I think, kind of a little tiny interesting little tidbit that you can change to an adjacent key, stay in that same pentatonic. In this case, the major pentatonic, you can go 1 sharp less and it still works. The major pentatonic still works. Just something to file away if you're going to be soloing over it or you're composing something. Kind of nice thing to know. All right, gang. Well, there you go. Hold On by John Lennon. I hope you agree. This is a great guitar song. It's really fun to play because it's really pretty. The chords are lush without being difficult, and it's just, it's got a great vibe to it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did. We will see you on down the road.